How's it going, folks? My name is Matthew, aka EZBOT, and today we're going to have a little bit of fun with the Digitakt II exclusively. So we're just going to use it by itself, despite all the cool stuff that's available to us right now, to make some music from scratch. And today I wanted to focus a little bit on some techno production because I was just kind of feeling that. I've been messing around with a bunch of techniques and doing a lot of lessons, and techno is a really common thing for people to inquire about. How do I make it on the Digitakt II? How do I make it on the Digitone and Octatrack and so many other devices? But they're all pretty similar. So if you can follow along on the Digitakt II, you're gonna have a pretty great time making at least the essentials, the basics of getting a project like that started. The Digitakt II is a fantastic sampler and it allows for some great resampling techniques, and that's actually what we're gonna leverage the most today. And I wanna talk about some of my favorite tips and tricks for leveraging the abilities the Digitakt II has to make techno production, but not just for techno. You can apply this to all genres. We're just going to use it as an example so that you can get a little bit more familiar with the device, and you know, so that you can have fun and make some music that you enjoy making. So without further ado, let's jump into it. Further ado. Who says that anyway? Nobody says that. Nobody talks like that. That's how people talk that are talking to the internet, like I just did. I don't talk like that. I don't say further ado. We won't do that anymore. Kind of what I was thinking I wanted to do today to leverage my Digitakt was, instead of starting with a bunch of one-shots, I was actually going to grab some essential sounds from a pack of drums that I have, and I have these really cool drum fills. They're called effects fills, it says on here, and let's just listen to it. So I mean, we could take 128, 150. We might have to resample this if I want to use longer than just a single piece of it, because we'll have to chop it up in here. But I want to go over a bunch of different ideas and techniques you can use on the Digitakt to make stuff that sounds good. But listen to these drum fills. This is from this like very vibey or spacious fills. I forget what the pack is called, but it's called Oversampled, and spacious drum fills. So there's some really cool sounds and some really great sounding drums in here. Like, I love that. In the 128, I think there was one in particular, like that kick at the very end. We could start with that. Let's make sure we're not on a pattern that has music on it. All right. Okay. Let's go back into our plus drive and we'll chop it up on track 8, I guess, and we'll load it to the project. I guess we could just load a couple of them to the project. Let's just load these all to the project. Then we can throw it on 8 for messing. Go to our banks. Oh, looks like it got loaded into bank B. There it is. It just automatically loads your samples into the end of the closest bank. Oh, I think it was this one, right? Yeah. If you do function yes on it, it'll take you back to the folder where the sample originally was from, so you can quickly switch to a different sample. That's if you're highlighted over here and you go function yes like that, it'll take you over to the original sample folder, which is a nice little thing to know. So let's switch this over to a slice machine, and let's go in here, and what I want for now is, let's put a slice in, is to grab the kick. It's got like a nice tail on it. It's pretty chunky. What other sounds do we have in here? Let's see. We can't move that one over there, but we can that over here. That's a really nice sound too. Even if I only have these two sounds from this vibey drum fill, these sounds are really punchy and I like them. So I'm gonna stick with those. And we'll start by putting, typically when I start a project, let's just pretend like I haven't done this yet. And we'll go, so typically when I start a project out, right, it looks like this. I like to work in 8 bars, so I go function yes, and I usually switch things out to 8 bars, but since we're just working on a kick drum track for now, I might just keep my track length at just a single bar to keep things simple. Let's get this delay down and switch over from this sound to this sound, and we will go to slice 2. That's where that huge kick was. That is a fat kick. That really is. I dig it. So now here's what we want to do. So we want to make like some really big like rumbly sounds. That's my goal today, is to have things just rumble. Because I love that sound. So what I want to do is we're going to soak this in reverb. We're going to go to our reverb and make sure all the low end is there. There it is. I kind of like that too, like when there's a little bit of the mid-highs. Okay, so now we're going to go into our settings, audio routing, 2 mains, and we're going to take the kick drum out, and then I'm going to resample. So what I wanted, the reason I took the kick drum out is because I don't want the kick drum to be in my resample. I plan on putting the rumble sounds on other tracks for this production. So I want to record my mains. I keep skipping over it. There we go. And I want to record for like, I don't know, we'll do 2 bars is what it's set to, so I'm just going to let it do that. Record start. That's actually what you want to do. If you do record threshold, you'll miss like the transient of this, and I don't want to do that. So we'll just hit that and hit play. Cool. It kind of like builds up over time here. I think if I go to trim, oh, it doesn't show you the numbers. That's always the problem with that. If it gave me like some sort of readout, I could find like 50%. The Digitakt I, I believe, did actually do that for you, which was really nice. Whatever. We'll keep this. We can actually do that in the machine after the fact. So we'll say yes. And what tempo we're at? 145. So we'll call it a rumble at 145 because the rhythm does matter here. Whoops. Cool, I'm gonna put that on track 2. And now I think what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna bring my audio back, my kick drum back out, and back to my kick itself, and remove all that reverb. We're gonna go to track 2, put this down, and we'll have it go for, well, we'll have it go for, I guess, a bar for now. And we'll figure out what we want to do with that next. There's that rumble. Whew. Very rumbly because it was already like, the filter was already set up to just make that rumble. Enormous. Okay. So here's what we want to talk about. After we get this sound going, I want to mention this idea. And so like I run my kick drum, like I pick a kick drum and I run it into my compressor, and then I use the compressor like this setting here. I go to setup, I go to compressor routing, and I like select what tracks are going to go into the compressor, and I usually remove everything from my compressor. And what I could have done is, you know, use the compressor and then had the effects go through the compressor and duck the effects. And that's one method to do it. Another method is what I'm about to show you. So typically I use this compressor routing as its own bus, and anything that I want to have get sidechain ducked, quite literally the actual sidechain duck, not like emulating it with envelopes, but literally sidechain ducking it from a specific source. I would run my kick drum 1, even though I like to play with 2 kick drums. Or multiple kick drums, but I like to play with an alt kick drum when I'm performing, especially with techno stuff. And I have this like method to my madness on all of my techno production. I'm getting it down to like a science because I really love the systematic approach to techno production. There's something about how you can just kind of like apply techniques and you're going to get usable results as long as you follow like these, you know, these rough guidelines. And that's kind of what I'm trying to show you today, is some of the rough guidelines that I've come across and that I like. And one of them is this, and this is the thing that I like to do. So one of the problems I would run into when I did this is I would have, you know, I'd have a couple sounds. We're going to have track 2 for one go into my compressor, but I would target my compressor's source as track 1. And when I did that, if I use my alternate drum selection, and let me explain the alternate drum thing so you get this really quick. On my tracks, I like to go kick drum, rumble, rumble, clap, clap, or snare, snare, whatever, and then hat, open hat, sample, whatever we're going to do. Single cycles today, because we're going to be using this as our everything. We're not going to use any other machines, except for maybe the Octatrack for some performance effects once we get a pattern going. But when I would use this alternate version, and the reason I like to do this like drum split where I have 2 different drums, is that I can make one pattern go really far this way, but also as I'm performing, as I'm playing with my mutes, I keep one section muted and one section unmuted, and then I can kind of like switch back and forth between these 2 ideas, and they're identical concepts, but they're different samples with different patterns, but they're in the same song and like they're made to work together. And so some of them you can stack sometimes, like you can stack hats, but you wouldn't stack rumbles, and maybe if you got to a crescendo of your track and you really want to blow out the speakers, you could stack your kicks or something. But the idea is that you could just improvise it's a way to improvise with your mutes in a deeper fashion as opposed to just muting and unmuting. So you can do this and, you know, in conjunction with playing with your track volume, bringing it up and down, and we'll get into that a little bit further. But anyway, the point of why I'm showing this is because that's the method I do for techno. But if I have multiple kicks and I want to do rumble and I mute my kick drum, since it's a true sidechain compression, as opposed to using an envelope generator or an LFO to trigger a ducking shape to my amplitude volume, if I mute my kick drum, my sidechain will go away. And sometimes that's really tasteful, but many times it's not. It also means that if I don't have this kick playing, then this kick doesn't get to sidechain. So a buddy of mine, Katabatic, shout out to Katabatic, reminded me that I can just, or informed me that of course I could just have a track with a kick drum pattern. We're going to use 16. Have a track with a kick drum pattern, leave it unmuted all the time, and then just remove its source from the mains. Right? So this doesn't go to the mains, but my compressor can still target it as the sidechain source. So now I have a consistent sidechain source for my compressor. And I loved this method. In the moment that he mentioned it to me, he was like, oh, this is what I do. And I was like, oh my God, how have I not thought of that this whole time? So shout out once again to Katabatic. And we can just turn the compressor all the way up. We don't want any makeup gain because we're using it as a ducking target. But now I have this track, and hopefully I have everything set up correctly already. And we'll have it duck. This has got a bunch of effects on it. We don't need that. We got to put, of course, a kick drum sample in this track. Oh, whoops. Didn't mean to do that. Bring that back to 16. So we go back to this track. Doesn't have a kick drum on it, so let's put just a kick. There it is. So check it out. Now we have this dope sidechain ducking going on. It's doing a really good job. And you could like you know, reduce its amount or its threshold. All sorts of different ways for you to adjust the shape of it and what you like with your attack and release. That's the shape of the envelope that's, you know, following this threshold. We can go to this track and turn that up. There's some like real rumble right there. It's just like all sub. Then we can give it a little bit of reverb, give it some space. Go back into our reverb and make it like an actual reverb again. Sparkle a little bit of our high end back. Let's just clear it out so it goes back to the space it's typically in. I like 8 for my pre-delay usually. Cool, so now we can put another kick drum down on this track that's like an alternative kick drum. Right now we're just doing 4 on the floor because we're just getting our sounds and getting like the structure formulated right now, or at the moment. So now I want to get a different kick drum sound. We'll get something new. Maybe we'll get it from a one-shot folder. I liked the idea of grabbing it from a drum fill, but we did that already. So let's go ahead and just get it from... I want to get like a really punchy one. I mean, that one hits pretty hard. Let's see. Yeah. So this one's a little bit flat, it feels like, compared to this. Maybe we'll go and maybe we'll pick a different drum. But just to make things a little bit more fun, I really do want to have just a simple hi-hat going. Let's keep these tracks unmuted for now, other than that one as we're producing. We'll go over here and give us some space. And I want to kind of go through and just bring everything off the grid a little bit. Maybe bring that one back, just so things don't sound like robots. And I feel like this is like heading towards that like warehousey sound. So like you don't have to start with the rumble, you know, it could be, and you could build up to it. You gotta time that, of course. Those are some of the new performance effects in my template that is on Patreon currently. Let's see if we throw some. Set up this delay. Maybe we won't have delay on this particular drum, but I really do like it on this one. Yeah. I like how once you have like the rumble crafted, you can, you know, filter it and play with these different ideas. So this is like just like a little bit of like foundational stuff and some cool tricks that you can do with some resampling. Now I want to get like some like polymetric type stuff going. So we actually want to set our reset to infinity. And because we're just using the Digitakt only, we're not using it to play with any other piece of equipment. We don't need to worry about the infinity, and we don't need to worry about it being set to infinity because we're not worried about our change. We can set the change to whatever value we want, but there's always been some issues with, like, say, the digatone, and receiving that change could be a problem, getting it at the exact right time. But it still would be close enough if you were playing live. Nobody would be, you know, nobody would be too upset with you about that. Yeah, that sounds cool. All right, let's get a little bass line going. I think I'll put it on 5. Yeah, we'll put it on 5. Let's get like we could use a wavetable for fun, or a single cycle. We can do whatever we want. We'll do something with single cycles as well, and I'll show you a little technique that I came up with, single cycles, for doing some weird noisy, glitchy stuff that could sound really good as a texture in the background. Let's go to oscillators, wavetables. That could be kind of cool. I feel like these wavetables are too short. Let's get this morph. All right, for wavetables, we actually want to use a grid machine instead of a slice machine, and then set the length to 64, and set this to looping. And we can find like the spot. So here's how you now select something in the grid. You can use an LFO to target your slice select, and that will be like, you know, it'll modulate the wave position in your wavetable. Slice select. We could go. About that is it just gives you some texture. So not every hit is the same. So I actually want this to be like pretty muted, I think. Really wish it was a lot darker sounding. Sidechain this as well. So let's make this, we're going to sidechain everything. We're just going to sidechain the crap out of this project. Let's make it like 7 steps long. Put a couple notes in, make a rhythm. And yeah, let's bring it down an octave just to cheat. Yeah, we don't want that one there. Let's go with 5, actually. Cool. And then we'll just make a, we'll use the, sequence itself to make it more obvious about our polymetric sequence that we have. Instead of it being more about the rhythm itself, you'll notice it more in the notes that are changing. All right, let's send this to the sidechain bus and see what happens. First, routing 5. Nice. All right, so we want to have, let's use some sample rate redux, but let's put it on an LFO. Just let it kind of breathe the sample rate redux. Did I go right over it? All right, now let's make some weird, like, glitchy noises. You can also throw an LFO on the filter cutoff. Make this kind of move around real quick before we do that. Let's just go really slow. Cool. My little sample rate reduction thing is not doing what I want it to do. Is it going too fast still? Okay, moving on. Let's get like wanted to make some little noisy sounds, some like weird little noises. I want to show off a little trick to like get some like really weird glitchy stuff using single cycle waveforms, but not having them oscillate. So let's just like fill the grid up, and then we're gonna select samples from our bank. I know I have a bunch of single cycles already in here. Somewhere, here we go. So I'm gonna put one there, and then here. We'll go down to this one. And then here we'll go down to this one, and here we'll go down to this one. These are all just different single cycle waveforms. That's why they say SC on them. Oops. And, you know, we could oscillate them. We can listen to them and go in both ways. I didn't miss any, did I? Okay, so this is what, let's isolate just this track really quick. Doesn't sound like much. Okay, so what we're gonna do is bring the decay time down, and we're gonna bring the hold time to about 2. Filter type, give us some good resonance. So just this sound alone right here, this is a pretty cool one. Usually I can get a little something out of that, but their reduction's nice. These sounds really stand out once you start panning them around. Giving them some stereo space. And we can take a look at what it sounds like when we actually have them oscillate, which is how you would typically use them. Here's when they oscillate. Sounds pretty cool when you don't have you have them oscillate as well. But because it's the different oscillator shapes like this, it sounds really strong, and you can play with the tune instead of the trig. If you wanted to match your track. We could sidechain this too. Like I said, we're going to sidechain everything. Let's go over here. I'm going to play with this filter a little bit. If we go back to not oscillating, you get this really just these beautiful little click sounds. So it's like completely changes the dynamic, and you can switch back and forth just by going like that. It's very playable. You can use it as a way to build up. That's what I love about samplers. There's just so many tricks you can do. also get really weird and try and go audio rate. Add some real grit to it. Actually want this to be like a bit more of an interesting pattern. Let's go over here and put in our actual closed tab. What do we have in there? A symbol? Let's find a spot, grab one. Gotta love that. Better hat. So now we want to start getting to a place where we can have double this up, and then we can start to improvise. That's the whole trick. See if we move this to the middle. We can hold it down and go to 60. 60 is the center. Now we can drop this out. Now we're down in that like warehouse techno spot. Not too many elements. All of it can be like crafted as you go, right? That's what I like about this style of workflow where you're just playing with filters and playing with the tools that the sampler gives you. Is that waveform like mostly in the right? Surely is. Switching that sucker out, no thanks. this, we can kind of like slowly edge this out. Switch over this track and have it start oscillating. Get a clap in there. I feel like that's kind of what we're missing. As we're getting closer to a spot where we're utilizing as many little tricks as we can, and we're gonna keep it up too. The more tricks, the merrier. Wait, HTDH. I do like this one a lot. Let's use a clap. I'm just having a good time with all these samples. Let's play with its speed. Really nice sub right there. Kick is really thumping now, whereas it wasn't so much before I added this overdrive to it and it really picked it up. Now I really like it a lot. So now I need to make alternate versions of these patterns so I can start mixing and matching them, but also having like alternate. Pretty cool. Just close that sucker down so it's AHD. And then here we'll give this another. definite. Let's do that with these melody. It's kind of like melodic lines. Whoa, it's already on something pretty cool. What's that? How serendipitous. Well, that's pretty cool. I really like that. I'm like surprised at how cool that sounds. I'm gonna keep that around. So now I kind of want like a double version of this rumble, but like a different version of it. How will we make it different? Send this into our compressor routing. You know what's kind of nice is that you're actually able to kind of double these sounds on top of each other, even though they're meant to not play doubled, because one's going into the sidechain and the other one's not. So it kind of fills that space. If we just remove a little bit of this low here, it would really have a nice spot there. Okay, so that's like what I want to do here. So it's like, let's watch this. Okay, I think we don't want that, and I don't think we want any of that. Yeah. Go ahead and save this. Take it to 4 bars. Let's see if we could get something nice from here. Let's use the bass width filter, I guess. Actually sounds kind of dope. Maybe that doesn't do anything. We just throw some accent kicks in. Throw a little bit. Yeah, something like that. I like that again. Maybe add a couple trig conditions. I think trig conditions are pretty ideal. Now we're at a spot where I feel like we can kind of perform a bit. Definitely needs more, you know, coercing, but it's not a bad spot. So kind of like the stuff that we covered, just like to go back over a bit of the framework of what we did. We took two different sets of sounds. They're basically identical patterns, like some slightly different changes. They fit well with each other, and we can go back and forth between them. Besides that, we have on track 16, we have just a kick drum pattern that's playing, that's being run into the sidechain. It's being targeted by the sidechain as a sidechain source. However, thanks to Katabatic reminding me of this, you can remove one of my sounds. I use this for resampling often, but I didn't think of using this as the compressor. Remove it from the mains, but let the compressor continue to target that. So now we have a consistent sidechain source because we need because we're switching between these two different kick drums. So that's really important. And then we also are just sending whatever instruments that we want into that sidechain bus so we can get a nice pumping effect so that it glues everything into a rhythm, which is really useful. We can also like adjust our sidechain rhythm by throwing triggers down. Might be hard to hear, but it's happening. Got a nice wub coming from tracks 2 and track 10. This is our sidechain ducking sound, or sorry, this is our rumble bass that we're using. This is like just a rumble verb, which technically we could actually layer on top of this whole pattern because it doesn't have too much low end in it. Actually, we could switch this to a different kind of filter, use the EQ and actually get the low end to come out of it. Because maybe we actually need that. And then use the bass width filter to get us a new kind of definitely has some rumble. It sounds like train tracks or something. Let's hear how it sounds with the kick drum. Yeah. We can always go to this and drop down to like minimal with rumble. You can take the rumble out and just listen to some minimal. There's kind of a tone to this kick drum, so it kind of like creates a bass line though. This a lot longer, just like reduce the probability. Now we have some unpredictable texturing going on. We are doing audio rate to this sound. Get some more, make it sound a little more techno, a little FM-y. Might be too much rumble on that sucker. Machine. Well, I want to hear this do something else. Ooh, that could be cool. What do we do with that? That's what I want to know. Maybe we throw some gates on it. kind of hear that it's a voice. That was kind of cool to play with. We wanted to save. Yeah. Yeah, improvise. Copy. 8 bars. I guess we could throw it down on the first step. Too often. Thing you can do too when you are doing this like technique where you're splitting them like this. You can kind of just play these games where you're just like just jump in there. Check us out. When you start, I mean, this is a fun little track that I've got started. There's a couple of spots, like this particular version of the pattern sounds pretty good. It took us a while to get there. But when you use it in conjunction with something like the octatrack, right? You can ignore the digatone because we're not using the digatone. That ain't happening here. This I have on an auto channel because I'm smart like that. You can use some effects like if you're in this mute mode, here, let's go to a different effect. When you're in this mute mode, if you hold function, you can like prepare your mutes. Sounds really good to do, right? record that. Add some portamento to these. This is the one that really needs it. You know, we didn't double up as the clap. Gotta do that. That could sound kind of cool. Okay, now we have these two versions, right? So I just love this like technique of building tracks and patterns around this exact method that I showed you. Doubling up of the drums, using the sidechain source here. James Lemonade Maker, what's up? James Lemonade Maker is the one who pointed this out to me, that I should be using this as my sidechain source. What's up, dude? Thank you. And then doing the rumble by resampling and then sidechaining that after the fact, because you don't have to record the sidechain in it, but you can. But if you do it after the fact, you can actually, I don't know, you can get a little more creative with your rumble. But I love this idea. So you do this, and you can, in your mute mode, you use the prepared mutes, and you can just go back and forth between these different states, and it's really easy to do build-ups and drops that way. There's so many cool sounds in here so far. Might be going a little too far. I mean, every time I do this, and I just like do this like, depending on the state that I was in before, it's gonna have like a dramatically different effect. Like if I do it from here, which is really, I love this method of performing, this method of writing, especially for techno production. Dope. That actually turned out really fun. For a second I was worried. I was like, am I gonna make something I absolutely hate? You just gotta stick with it, you know? I wish that was wider. Of course, sounds terrible on it though. super fun. Let me say what's up to everybody. What's up? What's up, fam? Tuesday afternoon, we're hanging out. It's a Modbang day. It means that there's going to be a Modbang event here in Seattle, which is a live hardware electronic music event that we put on every single month here in Seattle. And it's going to be a really great night. So if you're in Seattle, you should come on down and check it out. I believe this is the show right here with Wet Paint filling in for Fitness. Fitness had to drop out, sadly, but Wet Paint filling in. It's going to be a incredibly dope show if you're in Seattle. Come on down. I'm stuck in Seattle traffic, no doubt. No doubt. Seattle traffic absolutely sucks. A lot of cool stuff happened today, right? I mean, people are getting more leaks about the Roland TR 1000, and now we're getting our first look at this thing, the Neutzeit drop, if I'm saying that correctly, which I have had for a while, but I haven't had too many chances to dig into it. I have gotten to dig into it enough to know that it is really dope and it's a really nice piece of hardware. There's no doubt. The developers did an excellent job on this unit. And I plan on, I haven't decided what machine to pair it with, because that's how I think I would like to use it, is to pair it with a machine. But we'll get to that at some point this month. Another thing that we're going to check out this month here on this channel is the Caress of Stars. This is a 1U XOX style sequencer that uses a touch strip to program. It's a really cool sequencer. I've played with it too. And the developers have done a really great job of implementing a ton of features into it with 4 tracks on here. I love the idea of putting this in my little palette case with the Moog Mavis and like an effects aid for some effects and just programming some stuff. So that's pretty cool. And then we're going to check this out eventually as well and see how this does as a master compressor on our Elektron boxes, because I showed you today that I'm using my compressor and my Digitakt as a sidechain bus, and I'm just bussing different sounds over there to duck them. So I'd really like to have a compressor. I don't need one on my M8 tracker. I don't need one on my ToneVerk, because there's compressors galore on the ToneVerk, and there's a limiter plus OTT on the M8, so I don't want to use it for that. I want to use this on my Elektron, so I'm excited to check that out. Thank you, Pauline, for sending this over to me. After I inquired about it, they were like, hey, just check it out. I was like, all right, yeah, sure, send it my way. But I wanted to know how it sounded, and it's a very clean compressor. So yeah, Neutzeit drop, really cool. Other pieces of gear we're going to check out on this channel. But the thing that I'm personally the most excited about, and I've already taken my first steps to get my hands on one, is the Roland TR 1000. What? It's like $3,000. It's over $3,000 USD. This is incredibly expensive instrument, but it has a actual analog 808 and 909 inside of it. What? That's crazy. With using Roland's ACB technology as well. So, and then sampling and resampling. The price point is very high, but I figure for someone like myself who likes the process of making techno, but I also really like very classic sounds, and I think this machine will have that in spades. I think it'd be a really cool device just to have on the desk and like to pair with Bitwig and just be like, oh, I need to get, a techno rhythm of some sorts, and I'm going to just program it on my TR-1000 really quick and sample it. Or just take it alone and just go play techno, just improv techno on a TR-1000. I bet it's a really awesome device for that. That's like, take an Octatrack, pair it with the TR-1000. I feel like it sounds like a really, really fun time to me. All the hands-on control with it. I don't know. I've been waiting. I didn't like the Era products. I didn't like the TR-8S. I thought that was so weirdly unattractive to me. I was like, it sounds great, because ACB is really, analog circuit behavior is what it stands for. And they did a really good job with that technology to make amazing sounds with their devices, but it's not enough for me to like just be like, oh, it sounds cool. Lots of things sound cool. I need to be inspired. I need something to be like, I want you to come over and play with me, touch me. And That's like something like the teenage engineering stuff has in spades, right? It's like it draws you in to like play with it, and then you sit down to play with it, and you're like, I don't know if I want to keep playing with this, but it's still like it gets you over there to actually start doing it. So that's at least how I feel about it. I mean, no shame on TE, but I struggle with the workflow. But I think that machine looks really sick, and I think just from the leaks, I haven't spoken with Roland, and I've never worked with Roland other than when I was at the synthesizer shop. That was the only time we ever worked with them, and that was just like doing demos of their stuff prior to their releases for the synth shop. So nothing on a personal level. I don't have that kind of relationship with them, but that's fine. I'll buy their stuff if I must. This is like would be the first thing from Roland that I've wanted to buy, despite its ridiculous price tag. And the price tag is absolutely outrageous. I think that that's as insane of a price tag as anything else that's come out that has a high price tag. I'm like, what? I honestly thought it would be $1,200, and it's not. But it must be because of all the analog components, so it has to be that. And I guess that's worth it. I don't know. I don't care for the 808 side of things that much. I'm not a huge 808 fan. I'm a 909 guy myself, but I'm interested to check it out. So I think a lot of people are too. I think a lot of people are pretty excited about it. What the what? Blake? Tariffs gonna make it more expensive. Yes, they are. Tariffs are gonna make it more expensive. Tariffs make everything expensive. That screen's so lame, you said? It's 2025? You know, I don't know what kind of screen they're using. I mean, it didn't look that much different from the Elektron screen. As long as it doesn't have the extremely slow refresh rate cheap screens that they used in the plastic era stuff, which was that was disappointing to me. The screens, the workflow, the navigating of the menus is like just the worst. So hopefully they have some sort of updated workflow and put some of that $3,000 it cost to buy the unit into making it feel really smooth and snappy, right? Yo, check my super chat real quick. Super chat. What up, super chat? Oh, what's up? Talk me out of two DT2s and a Model 1.4. I don't honestly want to talk you out of that. I think that sounds absolutely sick. That sounds like something that Dave Mech would do, and I love Dave Mech's Techno. He's like, I should take Dave Mech Techno course so I can get as good as him. But I don't think I can talk you out of it. I will say tomorrow, in regards to the Toneverk, tomorrow, tell all your friends, tomorrow on this channel around 12:30 p.m. PST or PDT, whichever one you prefer, I will be having Mario from Elektron headquarters streaming to us. And we're going to spend about an hour to an hour and a half, maybe, but probably about an hour or so, while Mario teaches me about the Toneverk. I feel like I know it pretty darn well, but Mario always has something to share with me that I didn't know. He works at Elektron, so it makes sense. And I'm excited that he's going to share it with me. He's going to share it with you. We're going to do it together, and then Shirley will do some Q&A, get some questions, and I'll probably ask a lot of questions on your behalf because I probably have the same questions as you about where it's going from the future, or if that's something they'll even reveal. And I know that they're working on the MIDI latency stuff, and that'll be solved hopefully really soon. I'm guessing in the next week or two. I really want that to get solved right away so that we can, do some auto sampling, because that's what it's, meant to do. But honestly, the thing that I'm wanting them to solve that I don't know if it's even on their radar on the Toneverk is that the mod envelope does not reset when you turn reset on the steps in the sequence. It only resets on the first 8 steps. And for whatever reason, it'll work in the first couple of steps in the sequence and then it won't reset. And I want to do ducking. I want to try to use it as a techno box or just pumping chords. I love the sound of pumping chords. And I can't do it on that machine yet without using an LFO. It works with an LFO, but it doesn't work with a mod envelope. And there's no sidechain source on the buses for the compressor buses. So yeah, there's lots for us to talk about with Mario, and he's gonna show us a lot of cool tricks that he told me about already. I'll let him share them with you tomorrow as opposed to me doing it right now, but should be a really fun time, and we'll have fun. When is Matthew taking over for Ricky's seat at Elektron US? I like my seat. I like the seat that I'm sitting in right now. I think it's a really nice seat. I sit in my office in my house, and I love working with Elektron, and I'm happy to do all sorts of cool stuff with them because they do make my favorite devices. But I don't know about moving down to LA and filling those shoes. Those are some big shoes to fill. Ricky's a really great producer, and he did a really great job for Elektron. Have you heard any rumors about the Mark III Rhythm? No. Is there rumors about the Mark III Rhythm going around right now? Is that a thing that people are rumoring about? Ricky who? Beat it, Blake. No, I haven't heard anything about a Rhythm Mark III. I don't think there's going to be a Rhythm Mark III. That'd be crazy. It'd be cool. But I don't foresee that happening anytime soon. I think talking about Toneverk and all this other new equipment, and Blake, I'll answer your question about what the drop does in a second, unless you want to just go on YouTube, because there's a bunch of videos that dropped this morning about it, which is part of the reason why I didn't personally release a video about the drop, despite being somebody who was gifted one in advance. The YouTube video extravaganza for gear on day one drop scenario, I'd rather just not get a free piece of equipment if that's the stipulation for me, that I have to do that. I don't want to do that. I don't like that. I don't like competing with other YouTubers for clicks on day of a video drop. Like, ew, I don't know. The whole experience I don't like. But they were very cool, and they sent it over to me, and I told them I didn't like doing that, and they were totally cool with that. So we're going to talk about the Noidside drop later as well. It's the shiz nizzle. Oh, yeah. Well said. Well said for sure. The missing link. Wait, well, there was something else I wanted to talk about. We were talking about, the Rhythm Mark III, which is not a thing. Rhythm Mark III is not a thing. I've never heard anything about that. I've never even heard somebody speculate about it. But I would speculate that if Rhythm Mark III was to ever become a thing, that it would happen on the Toneverk platform. And I imagine that if we ever get an Octatrack 2 or an Octatrack Mark III, I imagine it would be an Octatrack 2, or it would be another device that completely replaces the Octatrack, hopefully, and allows me to build custom performance effects, because if I can't do that, then I'm just going to stick with the Octatrack. But if they do make an Octatrack 2 that lets me do exactly what I like to do with the Octatrack on that device, I imagine it'll be on the Toneverk's platform as they start ironing out more of the ecosystem. I don't even know how to put it. They are rebuilding their entire code base, right? Whereas on the Digitakt and the Digatone and the Syntact, they could kind of drag and drop different ideas into a new machine. They could be like, well, let's just take this, this does this with this codec and this DAC, and we can actually just duplicate that concept, and it will just work on this machine as well. And we know how that works. But on the Toneverk, it's a completely new setup, so they're having to rebuild everything from scratch. And I believe they've been working on it for over half a decade. And it's a huge project, and I'm glad that they're doing it. And I think the Toneverk sounds absolutely insane. It's 4832. That's the sample bitrate that it plays back at, and it can play back even higher sample rates. So we're in computer territory, indistinguishable, I would say, from your DAW at this point in the Elektron ecosystem, which is a good and a bad thing. I'd say I do like that I can, hear the flavor or the tone of a certain machine, even though that's always a strange thing that's even a thing. But there is something about it. Like the Octatrack sounds like the Octatrack, the filter on the Octatrack, these effects on the Octatrack, to me they sound like the Octatrack. I like that, and I do think that the Toneverk and moving forward on that, the quality of audio is getting so high that it really is like, it's all about how tactile it is and how easy it is to work with and how much it inspires you to actually go and play with it. And a lot less about the sound at this point, because everything is starting to sound the same, because everything sounds like your computer. Maybe, I don't know, maybe I'm blaspheming right now on the internet, but I do kind of believe that. Circo, what's up? I'm with you. That's why I didn't do a drop video today either. Oh yeah, that's right. You've had one for a long time as well. Yeah, good. Good on you. Yeah, yeah, I feel the same thing. And I'm totally, I'm like, I know that Bo Beats and Midlife, I don't know Bo Beats, but I do know Midlife, and I know that he's a really cool guy. He's a really swell human being from our interactions. I'm sure Bo's really nice too, a community-oriented guy. No shame on them for doing what they do. They make great videos. They're the guys that do all the review videos, so that's awesome. I'm all for it. That new screw in the power supply is the only update I want on my other machines. Oh, you just so you can't knock it out of the device. That is pretty cool that they did that with the Tonewerk. If you can see this shot right here, there's actually, for those of you who don't have a Tonewerk, it's powered over USB-C, but you can actually screw this in to the device and it will hold the power supply in, and that's unique to the Tonewerk in the Elektron lineup. I want to show y'all something. So when I'm talking about like these cool effects, like the Tonewerk's got some really dope effects, and I would love it if they did, gave me a crossfader and gave me scenes and stuff in the Tonewerk, or gave me, a device that's the same form factor. I like the Tonewerk's form factor over this, but check this out. If I just go to like this pattern that's like just these drums. This is this new performance template that is in like beta form on my Patreon exclusively right now. But just listen to how cool this can sound just being processed through these effects. I just love like this, like these little clicky drums. But if we send like an actual pattern through it. Pretty dope. So what I've done for this template, and I'm making another version of it. This is the 4x4 template. So there's actually 4 tracks of audio, and you just take the cue outs, you route it back in, and you can process 4 stems. And my idea is to like stem out songs into 4 parts, like drums, bass, chords, whatever. I don't even know how I'll stem it out yet, but stem it out, run it in, and then just be able to play shows with just my Octatrack and just play with effects. And it's almost like DJing essentially, but with a little bit more improv to it. But then my other plan for this is to remove these 4 tracks, duplicate this side onto this side, and then do make all of the effects that I have in this new template treat drums and melody differently, so we get, the effects are more applicable to all genres, and also just sound cleaner because they treat each musical concept differently. So maybe it would high pass the drums, or maybe it would low pass the drums while it high passes the bass line, because that would make more sense, right? So have effects that treat things in that same fashion. What's cool about this template, besides the fact that there's the 4 free tracks, and like I said, you can grab this on the Patreon right now. It's available and only on Patreon at the moment until it's completed, is that it actually has like what I call the hyper effects in it. So I made this template that does these like beat repeats. This has both cool effect, right? It has both hyper effects in it and like just straight up techno effects. It has these like automated effects that conclude over 4 bars. LFO twists. Repitching effects. Check this out. Again, we were making music on just the Digitakt II today, which took me a little while. I admit I was feeling a little shook before I started today. I don't know. I don't like reading the news anymore. It's become a real problem for me. Can't shake it after I read the news. I have a hard time doing things that I enjoy afterwards. It's been tough. I need to just like turn it off before I play any music. Dedicated bass effects is the performance template that would be rad. So polymathism, that is how a bunch of the templates do work on my Patreon, or that I have for the Octatrack. I don't know. Are you on there? I don't know. I've seen you around here. I'm not sure if you've jumped on there before, but a lot of them do that exact concept where it treats the bass, the drums, and the melody in 2 different spaces. Again, if you put your bass on with your drums, then it won't treat it that way. But if you put it on the right side, then it will. And it's effective. But yes, that's the idea with this Octatrack one, the Hybrid 4x4. Yeah. Hey, what's up, Arcane Devices? I actually mentioned you. I don't know if you were here earlier, but I mentioned your... That's the developer for the Crest of Stars. This is cool little 1U sequencer that I've been tinkering around with, and we'll dive into on one of these streams eventually here. I plan to get to it. I just have life cooking me, but very cool device. Great job. For sure. When you do your research, you also go for day one videos, but I don't need them in my feed anymore except tomorrow. You also go for day one videos, but I don't need them in my feed anymore? I know it might not be the current party line, but I enjoy to hear everyone's separate perspectives, and it's not just regurgitating the market blurb or manual. I agree. Mono drum, mono bass, stereo chords, and stereo wet effects. That's a really nice little adage right there, because I do think that's true, and I think that is really effective. Not mono all the drums. I think stereo hats and stereo snares sound absolutely awesome. I think mono toms and like mono kicks and stuff. Really low end stuff sounds good mono. I just love this method. That'll never not be satisfying. And then each time you mess with this stuff, this like techno idea, and thanks for putting the Digitakt II up today. Thanks, Danny. Appreciate that. This like techno idea I had of like how to tune your synths for techno, and I think it could be useful, and it would be that you do not, under any circumstances, use this, which we did. Use your trig menu to program notes. So let's just for an example, let's just remove these. Let's get this out of here. Switch this. So like, instead of putting actual keyboard notes down, we just use our ears and just listen. You get these like weird detune spots. Kind of reminds me of like a Eurorack approach, but I think it's fun. And everything's just like slightly out of tune, but then when it plays together. This is gonna drive me insane. Kind of a cool approach. I ended up making something that sounded pretty. Surprisingly. Function no. Non-well-tempered tones, the dark magic of techno. Well said. How interested would you be doing a full improv techno show, Circo style? I have, well, Circo style. I would have to have a sequencer that does that. And I don't. I guess. I don't think I do. I guess the Deluge kind of counts as one that kind of does that, but that's kind of like the thing, right? That makes it so fun about the way like Circo does his improv techno, and a lot of other folks do very similar methods where they have a predefined scale and they kind of just throw steps down on a sequence. and then they get to improv with those notes. We can do that with the Elektron sequencer, of course, but it doesn't give you doesn't display all the different tracks at the same time the way something like an Oxy 1 Mark II does. Yeah, I'm interested in talking about that too. I have like tracks that I play that when I do live techno. I mean, it's not, I don't do the same kind of techno that Circo does, but I do like much more melodic. I do have this techno track that I'm working on. I really like this one a lot. Digatone techno. And it does the same idea where I have like the split drums. I haven't written the second part of it yet, but it does over here. I really like that one. I need to finish that one out. Yeah. Sounds cool, Zell. Thanks. Where were we at though? That one I don't want. I don't want to do that either. I feel like this, like when I introduce stuff like this, it's just too melodic. Like I need to take these notes out. Maybe just copy this note. Fun stuff for sure. Oh, it's actually toasty in here. What's up, Sound Control? Good to see you. Would go really hard in the club. Oh, thanks. That would be fun. I haven't finished it, so I haven't been able to play it in the club. I don't have any shows booked right now. I've kind of taken a little bit of a break from playing shows. Played a whole bunch. I did play quite a few this year so far, but I need to jump back in that. Got a secondhand DN1 waiting for you at home. Oh, nice. God, the hi-fi. What's up? What's up? What's up, Barry? The Digatone 2 is such a substantial upgrade to the Digatone 1. Not that you're not gonna love it. Digatone 1 is awesome. I don't mean to like harp on that. It's not at all what I was trying to say. I've been having conversations about like the Digatone lately, because I do, obviously, because I do this stuff all the time. But God, the Digatone 2, I didn't even realize how good the Digiton 2 sounds, because I'm usually wearing headphones, and yesterday I like cranked I have a nice sound system in my studio, and I have a sub, and I've got some dope big huge Mackie speakers, and they sound sick, and you know, I put a lot of money into that, but I rarely ever like just listen to my synths like turned up loud on the speaker system, and I've just had this key step hooked up to my Digiton set up on the auto channel. If you're not familiar with the auto channel, it lets you play whatever track you've selected. You can just play chords. And I've been studying a bit of music theory, been taking this music theory course, which I only just started, and just diving back into it. I learned a bunch of that when I was in school. I went to school for music production, but I've forgotten like not all, but a lot of my music theory, and I really want to get back into that and get better at programming, you know, fun jazzy chord progressions, because that's the stuff that inspires me a lot. But as I was playing just chords on my Digiton with the speakers turned up, I was just like, holy smokes. The Digiton 1 sounded really good, but all the different characteristics that are in the Digiton 2 with like the comb filters and the other synth engines that are very similar. I mean, they're using the same architecture, but they're just presented in a different way, so people made different sounds with them. They sound so huge, and I'm just really blown away by how good the machine sounds. Digiton 1 is awesome. Don't get me wrong. Very awesome. Maybe you'll fall so in love with it that you'll end up buying a Digiton 2. The DN1 and DM2 seems like different units. They absolutely. I feel like the stuff you make on a Digiton 1 is completely different than the stuff you make on a Digiton 2. I feel like the Digiton 2 is a groove box, and the Digiton 1 is a FM synthesizer with an electron sequencer. The Digiton 2 gives you everything that you need to make a track. Send control. Polyphony plus electron sequencer is the greatest thing ever. Totally. I totally agree with you. I'm a huge fan of programming chords and stuff. And the Digiton gives you such a great like way of programming chords now. If we just go to like a blank pattern. And like I said, I can just like any track I select, we can just turn this up. Kind of a goofy sound though. You know what I really like? It's like a little detour from what we were doing, playing with the Digitakt II and making techno. But we've been doing that for a while now, so I think we can take a break and move on to something else. Is using something like the FM drum synth and just skipping the transient section and just leaving the body section completely intact. It just presents you with the FM engine in such a different way than the other engine that you make completely different stuff. Like, you gotta go to this page and really get that modulator turned up. You get to this spot, it's different. It's just... Yeah. I only have the one hand here. Hard to make chords with 4 notes with just my 3 fingers that are good at anything. But I love this. I love making patches with this that are like basses. I mean, the exploration there is so much simpler than this engine. Where we have this, like, there's way more sound design that can happen here when we're using the regular FM engine. Whoa. Anyway, we got great results on both engines, but I know this engine really well. So I feel like if you didn't know this engine very well, you would just kind of tinker with these first 2 pages and you would get amazing results really quickly. That's why I don't know. I just love the Digitone 2. I think they did a great job with it. Really, really fun. Yeah, the video on Miles, what did we ask? What are we talking? Did you see the vid of Miles Kavundra where he reviews the setup with another performer? Oh yeah, I saw that. It was pretty cool. Had everything linked up on the MIDI controller. That would have been a good use case for the Noise Site drop, actually, was his setup. Got yelled at on the interwebs by people telling me that I'd regret selling my virus forever, so I kept it for now. You would not regret selling your virus forever. I mean, that's how I don't think you would. I mean, viruses they sound awesome, there's no doubt. And when I went to college, it was the only synthesizer that the school owned, despite them saying that they had all these synthesizers at the school, which is partly why I went. But it sounded great, but I would say there's lots of great synthesizers out there that are much easier to program. Yeah. People at work wondering why I'm making the stankiest face right now. Oh, was that during when I was making those crazy sounds? I feel like this needs to be like way messier. Maybe it's this. But we can't have ping pong. That didn't do much for us. I think I've had enough fun with that. Cool. Well, everybody go to Modbang tonight. Modbang tonight. I'll see you there. It's going to be a good night. So for everybody who's in Seattle, please head on down to the 4Bs. Doors are at 7. I mean, the doors are open all the time. You can go whenever you want, but we're all getting there at 7. And come and hang out. Come say what's up. If you know me and I'm there, come say what's up to me. I'd love to meet you. And yeah, I think that'll be it for me today. We've been doing this for about 2 hours. We went over some cool techniques, made some rumble from the reverb. We talked about doing a sidechain bus with a single track that we use to trigger our entire bus so that we can have alternate kicks and take advantage of using multiple tracks and having sidechain at the same time, which is something that I was kind of screwing up before. So now I've got that nailed down solid. And we made a fun pattern. Not bad, needs some work for sure, but made some techno on the Digitakt, did some resampling, and yeah, had a good time. So thanks everybody for hanging out. It's always a pleasure just having people here hanging out with me while we just play on our Elektron boxes or whatever device that we have in the studio. And we're gonna have a lot of other cool stuff coming out. Like I showed you, we do have a Noise Site drop here in the studio. We're gonna check it out on stream with Crest of Stars, which the developer was here earlier. We'll be checking that out too. Check out the Poly Press, using it as a master compressor on our Elektron boxes, and see how that sounds, see how it feels to use that device. My name's Matthew, aka EZBOT. If you'd like to support this channel, you can visit patreon.com/EZBOT, and I do private lessons where I teach you how to use these boxes very well, and basically I'm almost like a walking manual at this point with most Elektron boxes, so pretty much could answer any of your questions. If you want to support the channel, you can just leave a nice comment below or a thumbs up, and feel free to subscribe, join the Discord. It's free. There'll be a link to that in the chat down below. I'll have that as a pinned comment. You can join. That's a great place to hang out and get to know other people that are into live hardware electronic music. And if you're in Seattle, come on down to Modbang. Love to see you there. All right, everybody. Thanks for hanging out.